My name is Julissa Camillo, and I am the coordinator of the Peer Advisor Academy. This was an idea I had to make sure that we get to share experience and get to learn from experienced people that have taken these online courses before. Let me make sure I can mute. You can go ahead, Oscar.
So, hello, my name is Oscar Cortez. I'm the Tech 2.0 coordinator for the Tech Scholars Program, and I'll be assisting Julissa in the moderation of this panel. So, welcome everyone. And at this point, what we're going to do is we're going to ask our panelists to introduce themselves and just talk briefly about, again, as like what their major is, their semester here at LaGuardia Community College, and a little bit about yourself. Okay. So can we start with Daisy?
Yes, I'm here. So hi guys, welcome. And my name is Daisy Capina. I'm a peer advisor at LaGuardia Community College, and I am also a student. I'm majoring in business administration.
Pablo, can you go next?
Hello, everyone. My name is Pablo Avila, and I was a LaGuardia student many years ago. My major was liberal arts, social science, and humanities. Since I graduated from LaGuardia, I went to Hunter College to complete my degree in psychology. I came back to working at LaGuardia since 2010, and I work in the Center for Teaching and Learning.
Okay. Thank you. Jefferson?
Hello, everyone. My name is Jefferson Balava, and I am a graduating sophomore, and I'm majoring in business administration. I'm in the Tech Scholars Program, and I'm currently employed as a program assistant in LaGuardia's paid internship program called CUNY Service Corps.
Okay, thank you. Joey?
Hello, everyone. This is Jui Albano. I'm a student technology mentor at LaGuardia Community College, and I'm also a student. My major is mechanical engineering.
Thank you. And Terrell?
Hey, what's up, beautiful people? My name is Sir McCall. I'm a major in liberal arts and math and science. I'm currently a student success mentor, proud to be, by the way.
All right, so thank you, everyone. So I'm gonna ask Julissa to begin our panel. So again, it's like, so I know like people will be trickling in throughout the session. So I encourage everyone to mute their mics as they come in and leave questions towards the very end. And at this point, we'll get started. So I'll ask Julissa to start us off.
Yeah, so once again, we're focusing on the experience that you had in online or a hybrid course. So we want to know about your expectations. What were your expectations when before you started this course? And did it change once you began that course? If so, how did it change? So would you like to
begin? Before we actually go into that first question, Julissa, can you please tell everyone what's the difference between distance learning and online learning? Because again, there's a lot of confusion that was going on around campus as to why it's called distance learning as opposed to online learning. So our audience can have a clear understanding of as to what is the difference.
Sure. So that is a very good question. We actually were trying to figure that out, and my supervisor had made sure to get the answer. So distance learning, well, actually, I'm going to start with the online courses. So online classes is mainly for a school that is completely online. It's an institution that works online. Given that LaGuardia is not an institution that works only online, we are not using the term online courses. We're using the term distance learning because we are primarily an in-person college. However, due to the situation, we are working from home and doing things remotely.
Okay. So thank you, Julissa. So with that in mind, can you just, again, ask the first question? So
Give me 1 second. Trying to also share. There we go. Can everyone also see the questions now? We should just focus on the questions actually. Okay. So once again, the first question is, what expectations did you have about the class? And did it change once you began? If so, how?
Oh, if I can interject. So for the first question, I thought taking an online class or any online class would be easy because it is an online class and I don't have to go to the regular class. But it's not the case for any class because it really depends on what course you're taking and what the class entails. So my expectation was I thought it was going to be easy, but you really need to do some time management on your end because there's some assignments that's due at the end of the week and there's no extension for that, and that's what my expectation was, and I changed it due to the the time management. I used to have a hard time doing managing my time, but taking an online class that really changed my time management.
And Jefferson, how many courses have you taken at LaGuardia that have been online based or hybrid?
I've taken 2 to 3 online classes and 1 hybrid class. So for the hybrid class, I think we meet once or twice a week. I think the hybrid class is much easier than going to online class because the online class has no physical interaction with the professor, which for me personally, I would like to have a physical interaction with a professor so I can ask them whatever questions I may have at that time. For the online class, you may not get a response instantaneously as you get for a regular class or hybrid class once you guys meet, but you will get a response at the same day. But I don't know. That depends on the professor's rate of response. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else want to add on to what Jefferson just responded?
I guess I could go. The expectation that I had at the first beginning, I would say the same as Jefferson. I really thought that would be easy because you're going to be just managing your classes by yourself. You're going to have the time to focus at home and also do it and to study at the same time. But once you just got into the situation that you are in a forced online classes, I realized that it was not easy like the way that I've expected before. I do encourage and I see that I have many distractions around myself and at home and everything, which I have to avoid it. And it's really hard because you're going to have many other activities, even your family, you want to share more time with them or something. But you also know that you are a student, that you have responsibilities with college, that you want to graduate on time, that you want to keep track of yourself. I would say that that was my expectation that really changed once I really got into the online courses.
Thank you. So you mentioned that many distractions. So
Yeah.
can you emphasize as to what were those distractions that happened to you?
Yes, of course. I would say even as we have right now, we have television, we have any other social media accounts, we have any type of physical activity with family, those kind of distractions that you are always going to have at home, which are not present when you are at college. And you can just easily focus on your own responsibilities as LaGuardia student or as any other college student.
Thank you. Anyone else? Pablo, Joey, Terrell?
I'll go. I'm the complete opposite from that. I did not want to take an online class because I knew it was going to be difficult for me, especially for me who struggles with time management. It's something I tell my students all the time. Is like, I'm probably the worst person to give you this advice because I'm horrible at managing my time. So for I want to say like 3 semesters, I tried to avoid online class, but the way my schedule was set up for this past semester for a second session, I had no choice, which I took a public speaking class online, which I doesn't make sense how a public speaking class is online, but I was like, okay, I'll take it. It wasn't, it was just kind of classes like I'm the type of person I need a in-person class because I love to interact with the professor, I love to interact with my classmates. So I go to having a public speaking online class, which you know, it's all about public speaking, speaking from the classroom. Now I have to do in front of like I'm doing right now in front of video. It was really crazy because there was no class interaction. Like there was Launchpad, which was a site that we use. All you did was just like upload your outline for your speech and then just make a video and that's it. The professor will comment on it and that was it. So it hasn't really changed for me, even though we're now on distance learning. Even though it's similar in distance learning is, you know, we're taking classes that are designed to be in. So we have to have Zoom classrooms, Zoom settings, and stuff like that is very difficult. So it hasn't really changed for me. And the same thing, what Daisy was saying with the distractions, like I have a lot of distractions at home. There's video games, there's phone, there's friends, you know, there's a lot of things that goes on. So it's like my time management is absolutely horrible. So like online class is not for me at all.
Right. And how about, so I'll come back to something that you raised in as you answer the question. So anything else that Pablo or Joy want to add on to this, or?
One thing that resonates with me is definitely time management. So in addition to working at the center, I also am taking 2 classes at another college for another degree. And it has been difficult. My expectation was that obviously assignments and the course content was going to be adjusted. It was, but the amount of work continued to be the same. And being on the same place and doing work and doing schoolwork was difficult. One of the things that I found myself doing was just in a blank piece of paper, writing everything that I needed to accomplish for that day. I found that to be really helpful because I also struggle managing my own time and I end up doing everything all the time. And at least keeping that one page with key items and bullet points on a daily basis helped me achieve things that I needed to complete for that day. And that's how I have been tackling that issue, especially because of the distractions, right? I have family at home and there's always TV, there's always music, there's always something going on, and it is difficult, but at least that strategy has worked for me so far.
And Joey, like any last thing you want to add onto this?
Just like everybody, I had like a lot of doubts about this online learning, distance learning, because I really like asking questions. I like all the other students asking questions. And one of the expectation I had before I went into online classes and distance learning right now was that like the class participation would go way lower. You know, it's like, just like everyone said, it's so easy to get distracted. It's literally just a click away, you know, it's like a tap away to get distracted doing something online. But actually, a lot of people participated in the class. That was like a really good thing for me because I was like afraid, what if like nobody is asking questions and nobody's answering on the chat room, but it's actually really live and I'm very surprised by that fact. But I guess like everyone's really trying to cope with the situation, try to like make this as normal as possible.
Thank you. So I noticed like the majority of you actually spoke about time management. And I want to bring this question back up and pose this as like, did on the first year seminar, when you took that, or if you've taken it here at LaGuardia Community College, did that piece at least help you prepare for this type of situation and managing your time, or just overall management of class time, homework, etc.? Was that helpful when you took that first year seminar course?
I remember that I did that assignment on my first year seminar of business administration. My student success mentor helped me through the process, and also the faculty that I have for the class. And of course, I'm always like revising my e-portfolio, where you have all the assignments for your first year seminar. So you can always go back to your e-portfolio, find out if you have any type of resource that can help you out throughout this process. But yeah, of course, I did found that I had some like a strategy saying that I could make like a schedule thing, a paper, as Pablo said, with bullet points, things like that, that you can always like try to do it in order to manage your time.
Okay. Yeah, because like again, it's a common thing that everyone just struggles with time management, and I'm glad that's like at least to hear that that activity that was done in for the seminar is helping out the majority of you, like managing your lives in these difficult situations that we're going through right now. So with that in mind, I'm going to move on to the next question. So the next one is, how do you connect with your professor and classmates as we transition to distance learning? What digital tools were you using, or are you using in class at the moment?
I guess I'll go first. We are using for work, because I'm student technology mentor. We're using Zoom, and for all the other classes that I'm taking right now uses Blackboard, and we also have WhatsApp group chat among students, so we can like share informations about homework, studying, etc.
Okay. How about the rest? What tools are you using, or how do you stay connected with your professor or classmates?
I'm taking like an official online class right now, which is mass media in its evolution, which is again a class that's tailor made for online. It's another class I wanted to take in person, but I couldn't. But this is completely different from public speaking, because it was a class that's on Blackboard, and every time there's an assignment each and every week, there's like a discussion board where you reply to each other, and you read each other's work, you reply to each other. But other classes that I'm taking, that's distance learning, focus is mostly Zoom. There's I know my Japanese class, there's we on Blackboard Collaborate, I think, and my math class, like we use Zoom, we use Piazza to like post like tests and stuff like that, which has been sort of difficult with technology. Like just before this, I had to submit a test on through Dropbox, so it's been kind of crazy, but yeah.
Okay. And like, can anyone answer is like, how do you stay connected with your professors or classmates? It's like, how is that going with all of you?
Yes, I'm gonna jump in. Basically, when I'm trying to connect with my professors, so one professor of mine, he provide us a Discord app, which is like a gaming app. I don't know if some of you guys are aware of that, but I didn't know about it. So he said that he's not gonna use it, of course, for the purpose of gaming, but just for the chatting option, where you can just have a conversation with the professor. You can chat with it. You can. He has like a thread just for the class, and because he's managing any other classes, he's also having for every single class, but you have that time. And he also provide us the office hours, which is called for regularly, to connect with him. You can also do it by email. He gave us the option to email him, and he's gonna reach back to us every time that he's available on or during his working hours. And some of the classes, when it comes to like having some kind of interaction, you have Blackboard Collaborate, you have Zoom. Because I'm a peer advisor, I've been doing some meetings with some students, advising them or helping them through any type of questions that they might have, or any type of troubles that they are having with any type of technological tools. So I've been using Zoom as well, so which is a really good interaction. Even though some of the students, they don't want to have cameras or like video, it's fine as long as they communicate by voice or maybe just by chatting. But I guess that's the way that my professors and myself were being trying to stay communicated.
Thank you. Anyone else? Any difficulty in, again, using these digital tools, or even having a difficult time in communicating with either classmates or professors? So, again,
I think even though I am not formally taking a class at LaGuardia, the easiest thing that has been happening in my college is just emailing the professor. And that has been the regular form of communicating with them. But I am also teaching a class at LaGuardia, first year seminar on education. And one of the things that I reinforce to my students is also email. So I try to get back to them as quickly as I can. And I try to encourage them to write to me at any time if they have any questions. There's also a discussion board on Blackboard, especially for students who are using the phone, who are using Blackboard via their phones. It's also pretty handy and easy to post a comment or a question. But email is also, I think, the easiest, and I try to encourage them to do that.
Thank you, Pablo. So Joey, you mentioned earlier how your expectation about the class participation was different from what you expected. So what has your class been doing in terms of participation and connecting with the class?
We have a WhatsApp group chat among students. So when we have sometimes we would have technical difficulties on Blackboard, and we can just like somebody's unable to see something professor's drawing on the Blackboard, and we can just take pictures and share it among the app, so we can kind of reinforce that. And actually, like, the Blackboard has like a chat on the side, and my professor has been using that really well. So he would be the only one speaking, and if we had questions, we would just type it in the chat. And like that's been going pretty well, and I was like pretty like really surprised to see the participation like going up every day.
Thank you. So some of you already started talking about some of the challenges you encounter. You mentioned a lot of distraction, time management. But is a specific challenge that you had during the course, and how did you work on overcoming this challenge? If you haven't overcome it yet, how are you working on progressing and overcoming this challenge?
I think it relates back to time management, like the class I'm taking now. My communications class. Again, like I said, I'm terrible with time management. So like the assignments I do every Sunday at 11 p.m., I'm the person that does it like that submits it like 5 minutes before it's due. So that's a challenge that has been really, really difficult for me. So one thing I've started to do this past like spring break, I've been telling my students to do is set personal deadlines. So say, your paper, like me, my paper is due. I have a paper due this Sunday. It's 5 pages. How about I get it done on Tuesday, or get it done today or tomorrow? That way, when Sunday comes, I don't have to be rushing to get my assignment done. So that's one of the challenge. Again, I'm still going through it. It's still a work in progress, but anything with time management is not something you're gonna get overnight. It's not something. It takes years. Even some people, it takes years. They still have difficulties. So it's important to keep a routine. There's planners. There's one thing I do to help with time management is I set alarms on my iPhone. So every few hours I know when to study. My phone is going to go off, so I know like, okay, I have to study now. So yeah.
I would like to second that statement as well. So when you're in a physical class, your priority and responsibility is to that class. And however, when you're at home, you have your own responsibilities like chores, helping your family with an issue, cleaning, etc. So those are the specific challenges that I have when I took an online class. So to overcome this, I communicated with my family that I have at this time I have this class. If you guys have anything, if you guys have any, if you guys need any help from me, just please let me know ahead of time or later. And then you need to create an environment for you to focus. So one of the distractions for me is to just take my Nintendo Switch and just play, and then just what's that? Just hold my phone and tap away to any distractions in social media. But now, how I overcame this is I just put my consoles and phones away or anything that might distract me, and as well as yeah, personal deadlines. Set a reminder for yourself and to do keep a to-do list. That really helped me a lot into doing all of the things that I need, because for the situation that we have now, we have a lot of responsibilities and priorities that you need to juggle, and you need to set your personal deadlines as well as reminders and to-do list. It might be a bit overwhelming if you have a lot of to-do lists, so you need to prioritize those to-do lists accordingly. Thank you.
Yes, I can share my opinion. This is my first semester in LaGuardia College, actually. And first couple of days, whenever I start my online class, it's really hard for me. I don't know what's going on and what to do. And it's really hard for me. I can figure out that. So after the day by day, my professor, they are doing also send me on time email. I follow the email, Blackboard, and then Zoom, whatever. Step by step is gonna good process, and then I'm still is good condition. Is gonna really good for me right now. So sometimes I'm worried about my exam, midterm exam, and then final exam, what's going on and what's to do. I don't know really about that, because this is my first semester in this first college and online classes. I never do any online classes in before. So it's really hard for me before, but right now, step by step, I do my assignment, my project, my homework, all of in my online. That's really cool. I like it because right now I'm not working also. I have a lot of time in quarantine house. That's cool for me. This is my opinion.
Can I share my experience?
Sure.
Hey everyone, my name is Gurleen Kaur. I'm one of the peer advisor from Humanities Department. And as most of you guys, I have never taken any online class. And when it comes to time management, I was worse in that. But then I decided that, like for example, for my assignments, I try to do any homework. I always have my 1 hour in a day, which I do my homework, like even if I can like a little homework, but still I do, because something is better than nothing, of course. So like we should always have like 1 hour for study, 1 hour for like watching TV, because entertainment is very important in these days for us, so we don't stress out. And of course I take my time with work, and I take my time to talk to my friends. So in that time I'm having like many experiences in one day. So I'm not just focusing on one thing, like, oh, I have to do homework, I have to do, because I'm keep changing my mind from different things. So I think this is a lot of helpful, that we should do like, try to do like many things in a one day, at least like set your hour, like for 1 hour I'm gonna read this article, and tomorrow I'm gonna answer this article in 1 hour tomorrow, and for 1 hour I'm gonna do my cleaning, and 1 hour I'm gonna watch TV. So I think this is really good for us, especially these days. And especially I would suggest like everyone, like try to do like meditation at least for 30 minutes, because it's a lot of helpful. That's all.
Thank you, Gurleen. Thank you guys for sharing. We will have time at the end for a Q&A, and we can open up to others that want to share and provide other tips and suggestions. So time management seems to be a big challenge right now for most of us, as we are hearing. And I like what Jefferson has said about taking time to tell the family, I'm gonna do my class right now. This is a time for them that have dedicated classes. Are there any other challenges that you have encountered and that you are working on overcoming?
I would say that I've been overcoming some technological issues that are regular ones that you're always gonna face it through this process. That maybe some internet connection is poor, or you wanna work on Zoom or something, and something maybe the audio or the video. It is really frustrating sometimes because I'm not an expert at technological stuff, but I'm always trying to go over feature by feature and every single app or any single platform that I'm working with, and I'm trying always to overcome those. But as well, sometimes even your professors, you can always direct to them saying that you have any type of questions or issues with it. Or sometimes, as we said, we also have the student technological mentoring section here, so they're also willing to help. But yes, I would say that sometimes it also happens that when you're trying to do an assignment, or maybe some of the classes, they are not giving you live sessions, you are trying to take advantage of that time for doing other stuff rather than doing college homework or something, which has been happening to me sometimes. Sometimes some of the classes I don't have live sessions, and I see like, okay, I have this free time for myself or something. Or I just tend to do all other things, and it happens that it's not really good at the end because you're gonna have all the deadlines hunting you after you're not taking time, or you're not taking the proper organization with this time.
Thank you, Daisy. So you covered a lot. You once again, time management became an issue. Technical difficulties have definitely been an issue for many. And you did mention a good resource, a student technology mentor, who we have one as a panelist, and they definitely are a good resource for help in troubleshooting support. Any other challenges that Torao or Pablo like to share?
One thing that resonated with me that Jefferson mentioned was your space, whether it is the small space on your own room or the dining table, wherever it is. It's important to set a space so that you are able to concentrate and get whatever you need to do done. And I think I have found that challenging at the beginning. I think I'm getting better at least I always talk to my students about what their spaces look like and whether those spaces are conducive for them to do work, for them to do schoolwork. In some cases, students who may be parents to help their kids with distance learning as well. So I think that's important to consider, especially if you want to concentrate and you want to do the things that you need to do during the day.
Thank you. So can I proceed to the next question, Julissa?
Yes.
Okay. So I know, like, I'm looking at the chat right now, and I know Stephanie Gonzaga just brought up a good point, free meditation by Headspace, and she provided the link in there, which kind of leads into our next question, which is with our current situation of not being able to go out for the most part, and all classes going online, how has this affected the way you prepare for and participate in your online classes? So like, again, how are you managing with everything that's going on, and how is that affecting your preparation for your classes? So there's a lot of stuff that has been brought up in the previous questions, such as work space for studying, communication, time management, but has any of that affected your way in preparing for your classes or your participation in general in these online classes?
Yeah, so it's been really difficult for me because, like I mentioned before, I'm an in-class learner. I have to be like at school because if not, I'm gonna be distracted by everything that's going on. So, especially for me who has 5 classes, I'm taking 2 math classes right now. I'm taking calculus 3 and differential equations, and these are the type of classes that are made for in person. So it's been really difficult with the Zoom classes to pay attention. Like I was talking to my friend the other day, he said he fell asleep during one of his classes. Like I did too, because it's like it's really tough to pay attention, and it's tough when you're doing the math work and the professor can't, you can't raise your hand and ask your professor a question. Hey, can you check my work if I'm doing it right? So it becomes difficult. Like like math lab, it becomes difficult. It's like, how do you see what I'm doing? Do I explain it to you? Do I, so it's been a crazy challenge, a really difficult challenge. It's like I say, online class is not for me, especially with this distance learning, but it's something, I'm getting better at. I used spring break to kind of took a week off, and then the next week I just started to start better adjusting to it. So it's been getting better.
So you mentioned as like, so your friend fell asleep, and again, you were like detention span for this math class. So what strategies are you using to at least keep up to speed with what's going on with the lectures that your professor is conducting for these courses? Because I know it's like even myself as someone who likes doing math work, I know it may be a difficult situation where you need that board, or you need to constantly participating in courses. So how are you at least tackling that aspect of it?
Mostly I just like go to my own room and just close the door. Usually my mom tries to bother me when she needs help, like with the computer, because she thinks because I used to be a computer science major, I know everything about computer, which I don't. But so my mom, listen, I gotta do my work. I turn off my phone. I make sure to turn off my PlayStation. Sometimes I have my PlayStation on before spring break, so I had to turn that off. So, I make sure I drink a cup of coffee so I don't fall asleep. And my friend fell asleep. I told him you can't do that no more. So, it's like I said, it's getting better. I'm starting to do little things to overcome, the Zoom classes. Try to pay attention more. So.
Okay. Anyone else having difficulties?
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yes, I can share with what his name. I'm sorry, just
Jose, can you hold up your...
Yes, I'm really just. I have a free calculus math 200 something like that, 201. It's really hard to us like doing to math practice if I'm not going to physically in classes. Definitely, I don't understand so many things online. We have free math classes, but we have as like free calculus graphics some, and then it's really hard. It's not focus of only doing the online. Online is not to supposed to everything is okay, but online is supposed to I can do my some assignment, some homework for that, but some really good example in free math calculus. Really, I need a lot of example, but it's not cover all of that. This is my opinion.
Thank you, Hossein, right?
Yes, I am.
Yes. Okay. So yes, so I'll come back to your questions at the end of this one, because you brought actually a good point. So anyone else on the panel who's having difficult in preparing for your classes, or how has it affected you?
So I would say that it's not just about the classes, it's about your self-being. Of course, I've been encountering that because I live in an apartment. I don't have like the space that you can just go out and just breathe some air or something like that. It is really hard just to be trapped, let's say trapped in just one apartment. You have to like try to keep yourself active between one room to the other, or maybe just by having some deep breaths, or like to listening to some music or something that is just about you, that you can feel comfortable with. Because if you're not good, you're not gonna do good on your classes, you're not gonna be good in everything. So we want to make sure, first of all, to be good by ourselves, and then to like provide the best to other and even to the classes that we have. But I guess it's about me personally. As we know, we have many resources at LaGuardia that can also help with that, as the Wellness Center, which we're gonna be sharing with you later on, of course. We would have any other resources, even friends you can talk to. There's many other ways, but as I said, there's many people, because New York has this common feature that we live in buildings, apartments, or something like that. We have to face that, even though we're in online classes or something, but we always have to make sure to take care of ourselves.
Thank you. And anyone else wants to add on to this question?
Yes. So when I think of online class, when I took an online class, let's say I have a 9 a.m. online class, and I used to think that, okay, I can just wake up at 9 9 a.m. and then just tune in. I think that would, for me, I think that's a big mistake because I'm just waking up. I haven't prepared myself for the day. So I kept doing that for, I think, a week. And then I like my work has not been very productive if I just come in class and tune in at right after I wake up. I don't think it's advisable because I think you should wake up 15 minutes earlier, or if you want 30 minutes earlier, just do stretch or do some meditation like someone said, or just do anything to help you prepare for the day. Because one, you're not going to take any subways or any transportations, so you can just take your time with your morning and then ease in with the class as you tune in.
Yes, excellent points, Jefferson. And I know, Pablo, you have to leave soon. So do you want to like at least give us some ways in which you are, how everything has affected your work or your online courses?
Yes. I think I mentioned in thinking about all of the questions that you have writing here, I have thought about my own experience as a student, and almost everything, if not everything that has been mentioned resonates with me because I also struggle with managing my own time. I also struggle in keeping a space where I'm able to concentrate and get things done. I also struggle with having to do work and schoolwork at the same time on the same place. I think the strategies that I have been able to put in place right now are helping me so far, like keeping a to-do list, having a space that it's only for work or that it's only for schoolwork. What Stephanie shared about the self-care, it's also important. Taking a mental break, even if you are in the same space, just tuning out of everything, social media, and just putting some background music and taking a break, it always helpful because it gives you that mental ability to disconnect from everything and sort of like de-stress. So those are the kinds of things that have been working for me so far. It has been difficult, but at the same time, the small steps that I can take, I think are making a difference in the long term, despite how difficult and challenging things seem to be right now.
Thank you, Pablo.
So there are definitely some interesting thoughts that students are sharing, and based on what Pablo has shared and Terrell, you know, this is definitely a challenge for us. I mean, as Terrell mentioned, it's difficult to stay awake depending on the type of course that it is. So it kind of is interesting because it kind of goes into our next question, and it's talking about, you know, giving your experience of the face-to-face, the online courses, and even your current situation of having to transition into distance learning. What type of class do you prefer and why? So it's really, you know, it's really interesting to hear the reasoning behind this preference. So which of our panelists would like to share first?
Joey, can you?
I just
Okay, go ahead.
I just want to acknowledge what somebody said in the chat, which is Rosemary, about online classes. How it's easy to slack off in certain online distance learning classes now. Like I was one of those people, like the first week when we first went on, I just went on to get my attendance and that was it. But thanks to my Japanese class, which I love, because Japanese class in I would say any language class, it's participation based. So I had to be in that class. I had to, you know, turn my mic on and say, you know, arigato, you know, all that stuff. Ohio, which is good morning, right? So I had to interact, and I had to interact with my classmates. So I'm forced. But in my math classes, it's very difficult because, especially how they do attendance. With my differential equations class, my professor does attendance by quiz that's due at the end of the day. So it's kind of like, it kind of enforces that you don't have to show up for the class, which is very weird. And for my calculus 3 class, like my professor, she gives us like a problem to do, and then we have to type it in chat, which sometimes, depending on the problem, is really, really difficult to type it in the chat. So I love that you mentioned that, Rosemary, because it is a huge, 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 huge problem. With the face-to-face online classes, like again, I'm face-to-face. For me, I find joy in just being and sitting in the classroom and seeing the classmates, and having the opportunity to raise my hand and ask questions, and especially when it comes to, like, I would say, like, personal meetings with the professor. With online classes, in person, you would just knock on the professor's door. You have like a private one-to-one, and they can help you. But online, it's nearly impossible. It's almost like half the class is in this one Zoom session. That's the office hours, and it's really difficult to have your question answered hour, and everybody else is asking the questions. For me, is definitely face to face. I love being at LaGuardia. That's one of the reasons why I went to school, because I hate being at home and all these distractions that are happening. So I usually spend all my day at LaGuardia. So now that's not happening. I'm like, what do I do? So again, I'm setting those alarms to make sure I study. I make sure I'm doing certain things and make sure I stay on track, right? So again, Rosemary, I love that you mentioned that, because that's very important. Another thing, let's see, Kyle Anthony. Yeah, I would say it's definitely difficult to keep track of assignments. I have so many classes that's inside of board. I get confused when a certain assignment is due. Like, I forgot Japanese horn for spring break because I completely forgot, because there's like so many assignments that happen. It's like all these platforms, there's Piazza, there's Launchpad. So it gets really difficult. I would say just try to, like, if you have an iPhone, whatever, keeping your notes, keep a note. Okay, this is when my homework is due. Make sure you set an alarm or anything within calendar to make sure that you you set a reminder for yourself. So
So in my case, I would say that I really prefer face-to-face classes rather than the online that we're having so far. I would say because of I like to network, basically, that's the word. I like to network with people, with professors, because even though when you're transferring, or if you would like to transfer to any other senior college, you're gonna be needing some recommendation letters from your professor, or some type of professional people from LaGuardia or any other college, which I really found helpful when I was trying to do my transfer application. And I did, because I've been networking with some professors, I did found that they helped me. And because you can also ask questions, and sometimes it happens that I don't like to wait too much, or maybe I'm too worried about one question that I have on my mind, that I prefer always to go to the professor and ask them directly, and they're gonna give me an answer right away, which is really good. But when it happens to online classes, of course, you have questions and everything, but you will have to send an email, or you will have to wait for some proper time for that professor to respond to you. I think those are the reasons why I prefer to take a face-to-face class.
Hi. So for me personally, it's not about I prefer face-to-face or online online classes. It's about what classes I should take face-to-face and what classes I should take on online classes, because ever since I started in LaGuardia, I've been juggling responsibilities, being a student as well as being employed outside. So the transportation can be very, very jarring for me. So what I learned in my time in LaGuardia is that I have to research the class that I'm going to take prior to the semester. If the semester, if the class is a high level class, like a high credit class, which is like a 4 or 3, I think that I highly suggest that you need to take that face-to-face interaction in the regular class, in comparison to a class that doesn't really require any interaction. Then you should take that online class. and especially adding on to Daisy's statement in regards to recommendation letters, if you do well in a high credit class and have a professional relationship with the professor, you will get a good recommendation to transfer. And even if you get a good grade or a great grade in the online class, they will also they will also give you a good recommendation, but going towards that high credit class would be very ideal for you and very beneficial for you as a student and as a future student in a 4-year or high level institution. So yeah.
So I agree with everybody. I'm definitely a face-to-face class person too. But I think it's because that anything that you can do in like online class, you can do in like face-to-face class, but vice versa doesn't really work. Like for instance, I enrolled in a woodworking class, and I was really looking forward to that class, making all this stuff, learning about all these tools that I normally, don't really have a chance to learn how to use them. And that's like something that you can't take online. You can't. I just like thought there's no way this. I mean, it's probably still going through. I mean, and no disrespect to anybody who's taking that class right now, but I personally did not thought that would work out for me. Like just by looking at someone online over it just didn't make any sense for me. And also, I'm taking physics right now, and all our labs are online, and it's very that's also very unfortunate that it happened, because like there's so many things missing out by not getting to touch those lab equipments, and you just can't produce the same effect with the online simulations.
Thank you for sharing that. I think many of us don't think about what courses should or shouldn't be online. And it also goes back to, if you're taking the first year seminar, you might have talked about this, the type of learner that you are or the habits of mind. So it's really something to think about. It's like, what kind of learner am I? So do I benefit from an online course versus in person? Or as Jefferson had mentioned, does it depend on the type of course? So that's definitely a good way to think about. In your case, Joey, you said that particular course you didn't feel like you would get the most benefits of online, so you chose to drop it. And that's something that we just have to think about, is like, which courses do we feel we can handle online? So thank you for sharing that. Sorry, Oscar,
Yes.
would you like to take the
Yes,
next
last
question?
So this is our last question. So as we wrap up and are about to open in the floors to our participants and joining us. So like with everything that we've heard so far up to this point, so what's something that, or a strategy or tip that you feel that students at LaGuardia can use to help them be more successful in an online environment? So what's something that you would tell like your fellow student or someone who has taken online courses to be more successful this semester or for an upcoming semester in taking a distance learning course or an online class or a hybrid class at LaGuardia? So what's one key takeaway that you think you can pass on to other students?
In my experience, when I first started, when going back to the normal times, I had the mentality of going to class and running out of class as soon as the class is over. And I did myself a disservice because I did not know that there's a lot of initiatives that LaGuardia offers to students that guide us and also advise us. So I would heavily recommend going to academic advisors and career advisors if you're not sure, because there's a lot of underlying factors that you may been experiencing, like what would be the future, what would be your future as a professional or a student. So you have to talk to an advisor just to line up your plan as well as your careers. So if you're questioning about what to do in your life as job-wise or occupational-wise, you can go to B114, but now they have they transitioned to remote work. So if you guys want more information about going to career services, then you can ask me after the line of question. I mean, when the line of questioning starts. But yeah, that can really relieve a student's anxiety towards what's going to happen next. If you guys talk to an advisor, career-wise, what was that? Yeah, career-wise and the academic advisors. Yeah.
Thank you.
I will go. Something that I really like to do now that I'm taking these online courses is to always be taking notes. While I'm having a live section or something, I'm the type of person who likes to write important statements or dates or something related to the class that might be helpful for me. And even when I'm going to have my midterms, my exams, or any type of testing activities, I always go back, I always refer back to my notebook. I always prefer to have everything written because it's any other way that you're going to be focused on the class while you're having a live session. Rather than just be looking at it, you can just interact with it by doing some kind of writing, by maybe following up the same exercises or any type of lab or whatever the class is about. And referring to what Jefferson said, yes, of course, now that we're taking online courses, it doesn't mean that we don't have to get advice. We also, advisors are also working remotely, so it's really helpful to be to know that advisors are there for you, even though we're on this remote distance learning.
Terrell, Joy, any
It's a little bit different from like Daisy and Jefferson said, but I know with everything that's going on now, it can be tough. Someone like me, I suffer from like mental illness and stuff, so I think it's very important to know that it's not a bad thing to take a breather or to take a break or take a day off. That's something I learned when I was struggling in my classes last semester. My mom just told me, "Hey, take a break," and that helped me tremendously. So, um, uh, I think your mental well-being is just as important as school. That's what I believe. I believe, especially with everything that's going on now, you come first. So it's important just to know when to take a break, and don't be afraid to. Don't feel ashamed for taking a break. Like I tell my students, don't feel ashamed if you need to take a day off, 2 days off. Do what you have to do because at the end of the day, you come first. So always remember and take a breather.
Okay. Yes, and that's an excellent point that you brought up, Terrell. Okay. And finally, Joey, any feedback or any suggestion for our students that you would recommend?
Just basically what everyone said, dedicate a space to study and do work and try to keep distractions out of sight. But also I would like to add on Terrell's point that like it's really important to take care of yourself. Like I would just like to look out window for like an hour, drink some tea, just do everything that needs to be done to take your mind off of what's going on right now. It's very stressful times, but just find some peace, and I guess we'll just get through with this, everyone together.
Yes, yes, and like all your answers are very well thought. And again, we thank you so much for being part of this panel. And at this point, what we're going to do is we're going to open it up to the floor. So, and again, you can actually ask your question via the chat feature here on Zoom, or if you feel, you can unmute your mic or raise your hand. So the application does have the option to raise your hand. And again, we can call out your name and ask you to speak about what question you want to ask our panelists. Okay. So one thing that, so as we get someone to at least answer to our ask questions to our panelists. So I want to ask all of you around the issue of communication. How has that been for you guys with the various applications that you're all using? Has it been easy, difficult? Because I know some of you did mention, I forgot who mentioned this, but someone did say that I'm not very tech savvy, but I have to at least learn to use these platforms. So has that been the case for all of you or just some of you?
It hasn't really been a technical issue, but I do have like a problem to classes where the professor doesn't answer emails, which is especially in the online class I'm taking now, we're all freaking out because one of the assignments we cannot have a duplicate subject, so everybody's freaking out about whether or not they pick the same subject or not. So it's like with everything was like I said, everything going on, it's understandable when if a professor doesn't communicate back, but it is worrisome. It does bring a lot of anxiety on due to that, and
So I know, like, so I'm looking at the chat right now, and someone mentioned, and I don't know if the peer on the panel can answer this, but applying for financial aid for fall, is that this semester or next semester? Again, like, you don't have to answer if you don't know the answer, but from my understanding, it's per academic year, so I don't know the answer to this question.
In my experience, if you're eligible to apply for the financial aid, you should apply as soon as possible, but because it is for the fall to spring, 2020 to 2021.
Okay.
Yeah, if you are planning on continuing your studies, you should definitely apply for financial aid. It's better to apply now when you have the chance. And if for whatever reason things change or you choose to take a break, you at least had at least already done that step so that you have the resources that you need. And I believe any questions you can always call. As I see, I'll pull up the phone number on the chat. Student Information Center, they can refer you to the correct resource to get better information. There's also, you can also contact financial aid. There's an email address to ask questions directly as well.
And again, some of you mentioned the fact that a lot of faculty are using many different platforms. So like, again, it's an issue of managing, and it goes back to all our questions that we were asked and the issue of communication. So how are you handling that aspect of communication? Again, within your peers, do you stay in connection with students in your classes, or do you simply just follow up with your faculty? Or does the faculty encourage class participation outside the online lectures that are happening?
So what I find helpful if I'm confused on something, I usually email the professor. Right now that we have online learning, I usually email them like, can I have, since we're using the Zoom application, and there's a sharing screen feature in Zoom as well as Microsoft Teams. I usually tell them I'm really confused on this part. If we can schedule a time for us to talk and to communicate, to share some screen, then that would be very, very ideal for me because I'm really confused on this part of the class. And if you have some connections in class, then by all means, you can rant out all the things that you want to say to your fellow classmates, because I think just venting out and ranting out would be really helpful for to relieve your stress.
Thank you, Jefferson. How about the rest of you? How are you dealing with that aspect of communication within your peers or with your faculty?
I would say that it's really important to always stay connected with your professor, even though, as I said, we are in this distance learning. You have many tools, you have emails, you have, as I said, many other professors might assign a different app, or maybe just through live sessions or any type of chatting box or something. You always have the option to stay connected with it. If you don't receive any type of response, you can always send a follow-up email. Sometimes it happens the professors, they have many emails receiving per students, so those emails might get lost. So don't be afraid to send a follow-up email, because at the beginning you have your questions. You always have any type of question that you want an answer, so you can always refer to them. And in my case, as a peer advisor, I've been working with Zoom. And of course, some of the students, they have any questions, or maybe we're even with e-portfolio sometimes, or any other type of issues. So once we have the opportunity, I always ask them, maybe I could share my screen or they can share their screen. And then we can work step by step. If I need something to point out or something. But I would say that's the way that I've been handling. And even with Blackboard Collaborate, I have one of my classes where you have just a tutor related just to the class, which is assigned for the class, and the tutor is going to be like a different hour rather than the regular live sessions, that you can always go back to that tutor and if you have any other questions. If not, LaGuardia also has any other type of tutors, which are peer tutors and everything, that you can just contact them by email right now.
Hi, my name is Sonia Azad. I want to share something about homework. I'm just joining a few minutes because I have online classes. I want to say that we are doing good because the professor did everything in the Blackboard. There is the Zoom and the email address and the professor personal address and tutorial help also. So this is the good is we got the help. And we have the group, the friend, we are a discussion with the WhatsApp. If it's anything in the class or anything is missing, so we discuss in the WhatsApp. So this is very helpful too. And one of the professor, they on the class time, they call me and make sure to homework and the reading is a good for us. So if you have any problem, you can personally contact and email to the professor. And the Blackboard has all information. The situation is very rough and very hard also, but what can we do? But this is the new things we learn in the online. Some of them is confusing, is harder, but we can do it. We can do it. Professors say we can learn day by day, but it's a very helpful. Professor gave the lot of time, and some student also give the lot of time. So we discuss and the listening and understanding.
Yes. Yes, Sonia. Like and you do bring up great points with that. That, and this goes back to like everything that everyone's spoken about, that it's important to communicate and like I'm probably gonna stress this out so often, that communication is very vital in distance learning at this point, and that you stay up to date and communicate with your faculty or even your peers to stay up to date with your courses. So with that in mind, is like, are there any other questions that our students in Zoom have for our panelists? And again, I'm looking at the Zoom group chat as well to see if there's anyone in here who's asking any other questions. So like, is there anyone else who would like to ask a question to our students here on the panel?
I have a question.
Yes, Kai.
All right, I'm a student. So what do you think is the best solution for tackling the fact that there's just so many platforms that are being used to, you know, submit work and receive work, and just the different communication? There's like the email, there's a student email, Blackboard, Zoom, Slack. There's just so much stuff. So what would be the solution to really keep track of everything that we have to do in terms of like assignments and homework.
So like, is this a question geared towards faculty, or how our students would best use said applications?
I guess my question is, what should we do as students?
Okay. So Terrell, Joey, Daisy, or Jefferson, do you have an answer to that, or?
I would say that is we also have the same issue, that let's say the same situation, that issue, that we have many apps, that we have many platforms that we are working with. But the thing that I would say is that you can maybe create a list with the name of your class, and you can create the apps or the platforms that you are using for the specific class, and maybe you can just put it next to the place that you are working. Maybe it could be your desk or any other place, because I understand that there are many platforms that are being used and you might get confused by it. So maybe you can just, as I said, just put the name of your class, and then you can just with some bullet points say like the platforms or the apps that you're using specifically just for that class, and you can you're not gonna get lost, I would say that. And in case if you're missing some kind of like a deadlines or something, or you're getting confused with the deadlines, you can also refer to your phone and create some reminders or something with due dates. And I would say that in my case, that's what I would do.
Yes, and that's actually a great idea, Daisy. Like that I think I did not think about actually having that. And again, this can be either on a piece of paper, on your laptop, or on your computer, or it can be on your planner online, which you can use for that. Because I know like there's a lot of applications out there. So how about the rest of the panelists?
So to add on to what Daisy said, I've created a spreadsheet of what my accounts and passwords, as like how do I where do I use this, and also what's the due date of my homework and everything else. I think Excel really helps with that, to keep track on your accounts as well as your homeworks, as well as like I said earlier, do your do yourself a favor and set a reminder for yourself. Like Terrell said, do a personal deadline, set reminders, and do a to-do list and prioritize your to-do list. Because now that we are in distance learning, a lot of these things pile up and it will be overwhelming. So to help yourself, you need to keep track on everything and just take your time with it. You don't need to do it in 5 minutes or 10 minutes. Just take your time with it, because you will forget some stuff, so do take your time.
Thank you, Jefferson. Okay. Any other questions from our students to our panelists?
So I do see some responses that other students are sharing based on Kyle's question. You know, once again, as we said earlier, don't be afraid to speak to your professor. So moving forward, it's, you know, we're already in the middle of the semester, in the middle of the distance learning, about a month or more in. So it might be too late now, but moving forward, in general, don't be afraid to make recommendations or suggestions to your professor. Tell them that you're concerned about using this, or depending on the particular course, you also have to keep in mind of the type of course. You know, maybe recommend a particular resource if you know one. So it's very important to just have that communication with your professor, because in that way you're able to share that information. A lot of faculty are open to hearing these other suggestions. Distance learning was a big transition for everyone, not just for yourself. Even for Oscar and I and Aron, and in terms of working with our program, it was a huge transition of working from home. But that doesn't mean that the faculty, you know, you and your classmates, that they aren't open to hearing other suggestions. So communication is key. another student on the chat has suggested making sure that you just have those particular tabs open that day. So if you know what resources that you're going to be using, even if it's multiple, so Zoom, Slack, somebody said Blackboard Collaborate, for example. So if you have one course that's going to have those 3 resources, then use that online, have those tabs open during that time frame. So we are hearing some great suggestions on the chat as well. Make sure you're taking a look at some of those.
Any last minute questions for our panels before we wrap up? Then thank you, Jefferson, for that information for career services. Okay. So if there's no more questions, I think we can start wrapping up, Julissa. Okay.
Yeah, I agree. So
Kevin, will fall semester 2020 be online? At the moment, we don't have an answer to that, Kevin. So even us as staff and faculty were unsure as to how the fall semester would look like, but I would encourage you to stay current with your emails at LaGuardia and keep on checking LaGuardia's website for further information for fall semester.
Yeah, I guess that's a really helpful piece of advice, saying that please be aware that you have a student LaGuardia email, and most of the resources at LaGuardia, we are trying to communicate through my LaGuardia email. So please, guys, make sure to check, because even any type of academy, we as peer advisors, we are trying to communicate through that email. Any other type of resources, information, new updates, something, everything is gonna be through your student email.
Thank you for adding that, Daisy. Yeah, a lot of resources, information that we're trying to share is being communicated through your LaGuardia email. Some of you might not have done a preference email, so it's definitely getting tailored specifically to your LaGuardia. You can always go on CUNY First to update any information that you might feel that you need to update, phone number, addresses, email preference. So you can also double check on CUNY First to make sure that all your information is up to date in case we're contacting you in a different format. But the main source is through email. That's how we're trying to share these events, the CCPD, as we mentioned, all these resources that we're trying to share with you all tend to be communicated through email.
So I guess we can start wrapping up, Julissa. So if there's no more questions, now looking at the chat, so with registration for fall semester, I don't have the answer for that, but I would say to reach out to your advisors for further information as to registration for courses for summer and fall semester. Okay, and like I think Daisy was saying is like, again, I encourage all of you to please use your LaGuardia emails, because again, it's very important that when you're communicating with LaGuardia itself that you are using that email, because on the administration side, they may not know who you are, or they may dismiss your email if you don't respond with your live account. So please do use that LaGuardia email if you haven't activated it, because I will be the proper channel to actually get in touch with anyone at LaGuardia Community College. So if there's no more questions at this point, again, it's like thank you all our panelists. So Terrell, Daisy, Joey, Jefferson for being part of this panel and for talking briefly about your experiences with online learning and feedback to our students. Okay, so thank you very much for your participation. And some takeaways from this session is, again, time management, stress the importance of making sure that you keep yourselves organized with your courses. The second one is communication. Again, with everything going distance learning, what's surfacing is that communication is a vital element for all moving forward. So please participate in your online courses. I wrote something in my notes in here that, and I think Terrell mentioned this, about the lack of not seeing face-to-face, even via Zoom meetings or Blackboard Collaborate, to at least be more active in your online courses. So like that, the dynamic can be much more enjoyable in your courses online. Okay.
Yeah. Just two more tips that I had as a takeaway from the panel was making sure you take notes and take breaks or do something that you feel benefits your well-being. You really want to make sure that you're staying healthy in every way, shape, and form. So a lot of you shared a lot of great information. So I just want to end with one last thing to share. The Peer Advisor Academy and Student Success Mentors teaming up to hear your story. We will be posting this on our social media, but it's called the Distance Learning Diaries. It is a contest, so there's more information to come. But please be on the lookout if you want to share your story. This will be one way to do it, and we will be promoting that very soon. Right now, more than ever, I think one of the best way that we're getting through this is understanding, learning from one another, hearing from one another, and learning the tips of what's working and what isn't working. And that was one of my goal for today's panel, is to get to hear what's working, hear from experienced students that have already taken an online course, what's working for them, what is their current challenge, how they're trying to overcome. Because as we heard, there was some common themes of things that was being shared.
So with that is thank you everyone for being part of this session. And again, we look forward to seeing you at a future panel. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Oscar, for having us here.
Thank you.
Thank you.